Have you ever been curious in working in space? The courageous crew members of the International Space Station are unquestionably a rare breed, but in the end, they're just ordinary individuals going about their daily lives. So come along today as we learn by observing our superiors. Hello and welcome to Oz News. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Information about an astronaut's day on board the ISS. 17,100 miles per hour. While speeding around the Earth, the concept of day and night as we know it begins to seem absurd. In a typical 24-hour period, the sun will rise and set 16 times for the average ISS astronaut. This is not how bodies evolved. The Earth day is thus maintained there at 24 hours, if for no other reason than to avoid the crew's bleak descent into a lifelong downward spiral of incapacitating jet lag. And despite the fact that it may appear from the internet that all they do there is play guitar and make, despite the fact that astronauts' itineraries are meticulously itemized in 5-minute intervals, humorous videos by a mission control crew engaged in operations planning. Typically, the day lasts from 6 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. synchronized with UTC, which is essentially the same as GMT. Alright, let's get the day started. At 6 in the morning, the lights are turned on. Very often, astronauts will still be in their attached sleeping bags. Their telephone box-sized cabin's walls to keep them from tipping over. Before they stand up, not that standing up or sitting down matter very lot on the ISS, employees may read emails, online news consumption, or monitoring any overnight missions that Mission Control has put out. First things first, I suppose I should take a shower. Well, no, despite exercising twice daily, the best hygienic conditions astronauts can aspire for is to wet a washcloth with a pouch of warm water and a small amount of soap and use it to wipe themselves down. Crewmates with longer hair enjoy using a unique rinseless shampoo, administered and vigorously rubbed through with a cloth on their head. Little effort is needed for this. Was created for hospital patients who are unable to take showers. At least a hairdryer is never necessary. There is even a cutting device that has been specially modified. The Flow B, which is just a pair of clippers connected to a vacuum, can stop stray hair from floating away and blocking up essential ISS equipment. The act of brushing your teeth is largely the same as it is on Earth, and astronauts are even allowed to mention their own favorite toothpaste brand. The biggest disadvantage is, in the end, astronauts essentially have to swallow without sinks or flowing water. Time to put on some clothes. Typically, astronauts don loose-fitting t-shirts with short sleeves. Because the temperature on board never drops below 72 or 73 degrees, and there is almost never a good reason to dress up or put on a sweater. They don't change their attire very often, frequently spending days at a time in the same clothes. This is due to a lack of storage capacity. There are no washing facilities on the station either. Several days later, when the next resupply mission is dispatched to a location, the stinchier things are stored in a mesh bag. Dramatic fiery end upon re-entry, bringing hopefully new supplies before. Nature inevitably beckons, even in outer space. Also, as you may anticipate, using the restroom in a microgravity setting presents a number of bleak difficulties. Each crew member has a personal urinal funnel that they attach to for liquid waste. An air-powered vacuum hose. This fan whisks everything away next door, sucking up all liquids. Their feces are broken down together with the airborne moisture to create new oxygen and create the subsequent batch of drinking water using electrolysis. Solid waste is managed by a completely distinct system. It's the same fan, I suppose. Poop is pulled into wrapped in a plastic bag and placed in a wastewater tank. By the way, it is considered proper etiquette requires astronauts to at least make an effort to remember to pack a new bag for the following crew member. Despite how ugly the setting is, it is a huge improvement over the previous room. Orbital facilities of stations. When the Russian space station Mir was operational, Cosmonauts once had to urinate directly into plastic bags during a power outage before a fix could be implemented. Morale allegedly took a significant hit. So let's head to breakfast. Sandwiches and toast are definitely off limits on the space station because crumbs are a catastrophe. In situations with no gravity, they're not only untidy, but if they're allowed to drift away uncontrolled, they become stuck in narrow cracks and promote the development of fungus. There are no standard refrigerators, however, BioServe Space Technologies is testing a replacement on board right now, but there is still plenty to eat, including waffles, porridge, and scrambled eggs. Yes, a lot of it is dehydrated and needs warm water to revive it, but there's also lemonade. If you don't mind using a straw, you can sip either coffee or tea. Following breakfast as a part of a well-planned and supervised diet by nutritionists, the crew needs to contact Mission Control to review the day's schedule. Almost every task aboard the ISS is meticulously planned out, and astronauts have every aspect of their activities meticulously planned out, step by step. The most crucial responsibilities include upkeep, both proactive measures taken before problems arise, is the repair action taken when something has been seriously damaged. Filter cleaning is essential, similar to how disinfecting surfaces, upgrading software, and even removing the trash. This typically enters the Progress service vehicle launched by Russia. The crew's maintenance tasks will occasionally necessitate a spacewalk. This may be for tasks as seemingly unimportant as changing the batteries on the station's exterior, but still need 4 hours to get ready and a 100-page checklist to go through. Indeed, there is a diaper in there in case you were wondering. The crew often uses a variety of handrails to navigate the ISS's interior, are spaced evenly over each surface. According to legend, on lengthy missions, the calluses on astronauts' feet disappear from the bottom but resurface on the top, because this suddenly becomes a very important bodily part for keeping them stable and upright. Together with such handrails, the ISS typically has Velcro strips covering its surfaces. This will prevent little objects like pens, tools, and other stuff from vanishing and getting misplaced, occasionally for excruciatingly long periods. After a long morning of work, frequently in lone wolf situations, but occasionally teaming up interacting with co-workers across the Russian/English language barrier, it's time for lunch, and what astronauts jokingly describe to as Runglish. While the distinction between day and night makes less sense than the days of the week, the ISS crew still distinguishes between weekdays and weekends at night in orbit, and on Sunday they eat a customary dinner as a team. Everything on board the ISS experiences problems due to weightlessness, and this includes cooking. Convection is the heating method used by the majority of Earth-based ovens. Does not function in orbit. As a result, the majority of meals are made with dehydrated foods. Add hot water, which helps stop fungus from growing among moist stored goods. Ionizing radiation is used to pre-sterilize some foods, like beefsteak. It guards against spoiling. The condiments, such as ketchup, you may add spice to food with mustard, hot peppers, salt, and pepper, although in liquid form to prevent the granules from escaping and disrupting station operations. Fresh food deliveries, such as fruit, come in waves throughout the year. Takeout food isn't other than in 2001, when Pizza Hut famously shipped a family-sized salami. It wasn't really a choice. As part of a $1 million marketing ploy, pizza was placed aboard a Russian rocket. Mission Control is attentive, being conscious of the necessity of fresh supplies for the devoted ISS crew. After using disinfectant wipes to wash their hands, because there is no sink, you must immediately return to your task. The primary goal of the ISS team is to perform scientific research and advance mankind's understanding of comprehension of space life. Hence, the most significant and fascinating job they will accomplish is essentially acting as lab assistants. They were directed by scientists working on the ground. Moreover, there are numerous laboratories on the ISS. Both the US lab and Russia have two mini-research modules. It is known as Destiny. The European Space Agency is in charge of Columbus. Japan's Kibo Lab is the newest. This allows tests to be conducted outside the station on a dedicated platform. The consequences of reduced gravity on live cells are only a few of the questions being researched. Artificial substances, and even little explosions. A true menagerie of creatures, every kind of animal, from ants to fish to worms, frequently takes part, although it's fair to say that most of the astronauts themselves are often used as test subjects. They must therefore maintain good health. Then now that the research has been completed, it's time to exercise. As part of their responsibilities, each crew member must exercise for at least 2, and occasionally even longer, each day. Due in part to the natural gravitational pull of the Earth maintains human bones and muscles healthy because they are continuously working to maintain us standing. But in space, unless regularly exerted, muscles atrophy and bones become brittle. A disliked condition known as space snuffles is another reason why astronauts work out. Condition where body fluids gather in the skull because gravity is no longer pulling them downward. Astronauts employ 3 key tools to stay in shape and remain focused. Of exercise equipment that has been carefully adapted and calibrated for life at sea. There is an exercise bike, but it doesn't have a seat because there is no gravity to support it. Also, there is a treadmill that the crew is strapped to using bungee cords. It is equipped with a cunning vibration isolation mechanism so that the delicate science being conducted elsewhere on the ISS can't be disturbed by astronauts' heavy step. The Advanced Resistive Workout Device, also known as the third major piece of exercise equipment ARD. ARD, the newest addition to the ISS onboard gym, makes inventive use of vacuum-sealed cylinders to, as an alternative to lifting hefty weights, simulate resistance of up to 600 pounds. If you're wondering how astronauts manage the utter boredom of working out for 2 hours, read on. Day leave while teams on the ground provide coaching and monitor their vital signs, don't worry. Movie screens are available, as well as opportunities for competition. Sunita Williams, a NASA athlete, participated in the Malibu Triathlon in 2012. Improvised swimming simulator using ARD. What's your apologies? Following a dinner that, regrettably, sometimes tastes a touch bland because aroma doesn't really act in low gravity, and because of the blood rushes to the sinuses, it's time to relax before night to avoid those space snuffles we described before. There is Wi-Fi on the ISS. It has an astounding 600 megabits per second speed. Astronauts can and frequently do spend a lot of time online thanks to the TEDRAS satellite system. Many people decide to call home. The station's stunning cupola is another factor. The ideal vantage point for simply relaxing and observing life. Astronauts return to their sleeping bags at night.